Oh, it's finally 2024, and I definitely didn't procrastinate on making this video. I've been working on this since January, I swear. Now, hopefully there's a good year for all of us. Hopefully a year full of adventure. And what game should I play next? Now, a while back, I did want to take a look at the Atari 2600 Plus, but I figured it wouldn't be that interesting, and no one would really want to watch a video about... Yeah, so anyway, since I'm open for adventure, I got a better idea. And what better adventure game than... Shit. And what better game about adventure than... Uncharted. Uncharted Drakes Fortune was released on November 19, 2007 in North America for the PlayStation 3, developed by Naughty Dog. Naughty Dog is now known for the most recent series, The Last of Us. Back then, they made more cartoony games like Crash Bandicoot on the original PlayStation, Jak and Daxter on PlayStation 2, and when the PlayStation 3 released, they wanted to make a more realistic game, an action-adventure game, or what the team called stylized realism, drawing inspiration from pulp magazines, movie serials, and movies like Indiana Jones and the National Treasure. At E3 2006, the game was revealed but heavily compared to Tomb Raider, or what people called Dude Raider, but the dev team made the game focus on third-person shooting and combat, rather than Tomb Raider's puzzles and auto-aim shooting. The game was set on an island because other third-person shooters looked too bleak, like Resident Evil. They wanted the island to be as colorful as possible, the main character being Nathan Drake, played by Nolan North, the everyman, who's the opposite of Lara Croft from Tomb Raider. But for the sake of this review, I'm playing the game on the Uncharted Nathan Drake Collection, which is a compilation of the first 3 games on PlayStation 4. Nathan Drake is the self-proclaimed ancestor of Sir Francis Drake, and has journalist Elena Fisher along with him to document the discovery of Drake's coffin, but only a diary is inside. The boat gets shot up by pirates, and you're thrown right into the action. The boat is about to explode, but they're rescued by Victor Sullivan in his seaplane. Nate informs Sully that Drake's last venture was to find the lost city of El Dorado, but they have one problem.
Sully, the girl can hold her own. You should have seen her.
Fine. You go on out there and you tell her, we just found the lost city of gold. Maybe her producer can get it on the air tonight.
Oh, come on.
Nate, do you trust me?
More or less.
Good. Because we're going to have every two-bit scumbag in the world racing us to this treasure unless we cut her loose right now.
Cut your losses and ditch the kids. That could work.
Elena is calling her producers, and they leave her, fearing that rivals will look after the same treasure. The duo land in the Amazon and find a temple that was picked clean centuries ago by the Spanish, long before Drake got to it. Sully becomes frustrated, as he was relying on the treasure. Nate and Sully explore further and find out that El Dorado isn't a lost city, but a golden idol that's been relocated. They come across a German U-boat. Nate hands Sully the diary and heads inside, but once he's inside, he finds the remains of a German soldier.
I'm in the captain's quarters. Get this, he's still here.
What's that supposed to mean?
Yeah, it looks like he was killed. Ripped to shreds, actually.
To shreds, you say? Well, how is his wife holding up? To shreds, you say?
As he pickpockets the soldier, he finds a missing page from Drake's diary and a map that reveals the current location of the idol. Nate radios Sully about his findings, but Sully is disconnected, and Nate sees that Sully is being held hostage by mercenaries, led by Gabriel Roman, who Sully is in debt to. Roman and his associate Navarro take the map from Nate and are preparing to shoot him, but Sully intervenes and gets shot. Nate is unarmed and has no choice but to run for it. He runs into Elena as they escape in her getaway vehicle, and take a small plane headed to the island that may or may not have the idol. Nate and Elena are about to land, but the plane gets shot down, forcing them to parachute, and they both get separated. Nate gets the map from what's left of the plane and goes searching for Elena. He travels through a forest, fortresses, getting to shootouts and finding more clues about El Dorado. Nate sees Elena's parachute hanging by a fortress, and he catches up to her and saves her life from 2 pirates with an RPG. But he gets captured in doing so. The pirates are led by Nate's former associate, Eddie Raja. Eddie tries to spare Nate if he agrees to lead him to the gold. Elena breaks Nate out of jail by something she saw in a Kool-Aid commercial.
How much trouble could one girl be?
Causing Nate and Elena to get into a chase with Eddie's goons, turning the game into an on-rail shooter, arcade style. Once Eddie catches up to them, it's the end of the line.
Hold on. All right, you got me, fair and square.
Hey, don't move.
Relax, Eddie. Just getting the map like you asked. I said, hold on.
I am. Well, hand it over.
Well, now, you told me not to move.
Looks like you're gonna have to come get it.
Nate and Elena shoot their way through a flooded city, and when they finally have a moment to breathe, Elena shows Nate some footage, and Nate sees a boat they can use to try to escape. As Nate has doubts about the treasure and how outnumbered they are, Nate wants to leave, but Elena wants to stay and record more with her camera. But if they want to leave, they have to go through the harbor with a conveniently placed jet ski, and we get to one of the worst parts of the game.
God damn it, this is not worth dying over.
Now this is a single player game, and if it was 2-player, this game would have benefited from it, because you drive the jet ski, stop, shoot the oil drums, drive the jet ski, stop, shoot the oil drums, drive the jet ski, stop, shoot the oil drums. It gets old fast. They could have pulled a Mario Kart Double Dash for this level. But the later jet ski levels get worse. Chapter 11 has to be the worst level in the entire game. There are enemies everywhere, on the left side and right side of course, but up ahead there are 2 turret guns, so you need to worry about every single enemy in the room. You take cover behind this first pillar, and then there's this asshole who tries to come up to you and shoot you, so you need to take him out first. You could try to move ahead and take cover, but don't do that so quickly, because the guy on the right banister will try to take you out, and even more goons try to take you out when you're on the way to that guy already.
Lights out, Drake. Lights out, Drake.
After you finally make it through, Nate tries to reach a speedboat, but Elena catches up to him just in time and tells him that she recorded something urgent. He watches the video of Roman holding someone hostage. The hostage turns around and it turns out it's Sully. Nate is angry and confused to how and why he's still alive. Thinking that Sully could have betrayed him, it's now on a rescue mission for Sully. As they cross the most cliche wooden bridge ever, Elena is about to fall and has to let go of the camera, but really it's surprising that the thing still works considering it survived a near boat explosion, plane crash, falling off a cliff, and a simple drop takes it out. And then we reach another jet ski level, and this one is far worse. The river's upstream slows you down even more since you're being pushed back, making it harder to shoot the enemies and avoid the barrels. The main difference is you can shoot while moving, but it's not super accurate. They make their way to the library with the usual shootouts through the old city, clearing out the library, and they rescue Sully and ask how he survived. Miraculously, Sir Francis Drake's diary took the bullet, and Sully walked away unscathed. He convinced Roman that he wouldn't find the treasure without him, and Sully's been misleading them ever since. Nate searches underground and overhears Eddie and Roman argue. It's not just Nate killing Eddie's men, as Eddie claims the island is cursed. Roman calls bullshit and fires Eddie. Roman then questions Navarro and asks if he's worth paying for. Nate goes on to solve a giant puzzle in the old church. He discovers that the treasure is in the building that Roman is about to enter, and he's right on top of the treasure vault. Nate clears out the graveyard and regroups with Sully and Elena. They find the way to open the treasure vault is by turning some stone icons, but as Sully is about to enter, Nate pushes him out because it was booby-trapped. They agreed to have Sully keep watch as Nate and Elena explore further. Exploring the treasure vault is a huge labyrinth with flaming chandeliers that make you feel like you're in Bowser's castle. But of course, more of Eddie's goons find their way in, leading to another shootout, etc., etc. When they reach the treasure vault, it's empty, except for one Sir Francis Drake, who died trying to find the treasure. Nate, of course, realizes that he's about to go down the same path as Drake. Nate lifts Elena up to an unreachable ladder and tells her to bring down a rope from the balcony above, but the rope is stuck. Nate runs into Eddie and one of his goons as they're in a panic, and it turns out the island is cursed and crawling with mutants. The mutants pop up from all around the room and kills Eddie's goon. So Nate and Eddie have to work together to kill and fend off the mutants, but Eddie ends up dying, which is too bad because out of the 3 villains, I found him the most enjoyable, and you'll know why when we get to that point. Nate fends off the rest of the mutants until Elena and Nate find themselves in a German bunker. Nate goes to find the generator room, and a bit of the game becomes Resident Evil for a few minutes, with the typical dark hallways and more monsters popping out. When Nate gets the power back on, a projector plays, showing that the statue was a cursed idol that turned Drake's men into those mutants. Drake knew it was cursed and tried to keep it from leaving the island by drowning the city and destroying all the ships. Centuries later, when the Germans sought after the same treasure, they were killed by the mutants. Kill a few more mutants, and when Nate catches up with Elena, she's captured by Navarro and Roman, who have the map and are headed for the idol. Nate is in one control room and Elena in the other, so he helplessly watches as they drag her away. Then you gotta take care of the mutants and mercenaries alike as they battle it out on the docks. Nate clues in Sully about what happened to Drake's men, and they team up to take out everyone by the church. Once you catch up to Roman and Navarro discovering the idol, Navarro urges Roman to open the idol. That's more of a tomb. Roman opens the tomb and finds a mummy. Roman inhales the dust and becomes one of the mutants for a short moment until Navarro kills him. That tells us that Navarro knew more about El Dorado than Roman did. He states that he plans to sell the tomb as a bioweapon. Sully stays behind to fend off the mutants and mercenaries and tells Nate to go after Navarro to save Elena and make sure that the idol doesn't leave the island. Navarro takes Elena onto a helicopter with the tomb of El Dorado strapped underneath as one of the goons spots Nate hanging from the net below. He starts to shoot at him, but Elena kicks him off the helicopter, causing the helicopter to crash onto the ship. Elena is seemingly unconscious, but Navarro is very much alive and very pissed. And now we're at the final boss. And it's super anticlimactic. Navarro has a sniper rifle. You can't hit him. You have to take out the mercenaries around him. Once you finally get to him, Nate becomes unarmed as Navarro causes some oil drums to explode next to you. Nate's gun falls off the ship, so you have to cover as Navarro shoots the crates, and you move to each one. With his gun jammed, you go up next to him and beat the shit out of him with quicktime events. Oh yeah, there are quicktime events in this game, or QTEs, not only in this boss fight, but are also used when Nate has to quickly dodge falling objects. They aren't super annoying, but they're pretty forgettable. Nate knocks Navarro out and you save Elena. Navarro ends up...
Adios, asshole.
Elena gives back the Sir Francis Drake ring, and Sully has a boat full of treasure. As they head off, Elena tells Nate that he owes her a story, ending the game. Despite this game originally being on the PlayStation 3, it looks gorgeous. My favorite scene specifically is exploring the U-boat, but not the inside, the outside, over the cliff and the sunset. It looks amazing. I don't know why, but whenever this happens in a game, I love standing on the tallest point and rotating the camera, giving the game a cinematic look. And that's another thing. The characters feel like real characters. That's because they kinda are. The game was motion captured by the voice actors, and it definitely wasn't a first for video games, but the characters come alive, and you feel connected to them. Nate and Sully, played by Nolan North and Richard McGonagall respectively, have amazing chemistry. Elena, played by Emily Rose, is a badass. She's not just a damsel in distress for Nate to save. Okay, she needs saving once, but she does plenty to help out Nate. She's as enthusiastic about the treasure as Nate and Sully are, and this trio gets even better in the sequels. Now for the villains in this game. They're okay. Remember when I said that Eddie was my favorite villain? That's because I think there's more to him than Roman and Navarro, who have no weight to them. They're just two guys who are owed money by Nate and Sully. That's all we know. Eddie wants me to know more about him. Nate says he was a previous associate, so what's their backstory? Did they go on treasure hunts like Nate and Sully do? Was it Nate, Sully, and Eddie? We don't know. Plus, he was pretty funny.
Going somewhere?
Hey, Eddie!
Did you really think you could escape from what?
Roman and Navarro were the only two characters that had no comedic dialogue. I'm not saying all characters need to be comedic, but Roman and Navarro feel flat compared to the other characters. But despite all that, the actors did an amazing job. And gameplay-wise, the controls are extremely simple, it feels buttery smooth. The game is just perfect, and again, if you've never played these games before, go play them. Hopefully someday I can cover the sequels and the live-action movie soon, but I have a couple other things in mind. I'm Blake of SuperBlakeFilms, and I'll catch you later.
Ugh.